What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this video we are returning to Universal Century 105 and Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway's Flash. Last time, Hathaway was questioned by the investigators in Davao. He goes to meet up with his contacts to prepare for an operation. In this episode, Hathaway watches as the Manhunters take over Davao, and Mafty's attack on the city begins. So let's get into this. As they go to take Hathaway back to the hotel, they notice black minivans in the center of the street blocking the path. The Manhunters are intimidating a crowd. Mahesia was once caught by the Manhunters and forcibly deported to space. If this happens twice, you get sent to a border colony known as the Remote Island. Kenji Mitsuda casually goes down an alleyway, but there was too much foot traffic. As they exit, Hathaway makes the mistake of looking out the window and locking eyes with a Manhunter. He taps on the car window and asks to see their residency permit. As Hathaway lowers the window, Mitsuda takes off. The hunter pulls out his pistol and yells. Gunshots go off as Mitsuda drives away. They hear a Manhunter police vehicle come speeding up to them. Hathaway has to bail out. He and Mahesia will ditch the vehicle. He gets out and they take off. 3 black vans go passing by. He goes into a tourist shop and finds a souvenir, acting like a typical tourist. The book just says typical souvenir but doesn't specify. Is Hathaway a keychain kind of guy, or is he a shot glass souvenir kind of guy? Similar, albeit different, to a moment in the movie. The clerk wonders why Mafty doesn't take care of the Manhunters. Hathaway says saying things like that could get you killed. The clerk tells him where to catch a taxi and he leaves. Hathaway is on edge while waiting for a taxi. Some people begin approaching him, so he decides to move on from the taxi pickup. As he walks away, someone yells, "You're violating my human rights." The Manhunters tells Hathaway to wait for a taxi away from here and shoves him. Another van pulls up and they enter into a building. Gunshots go off around the 3rd floor. Men come flying out of the window and hit the ground right in front of Hathaway's eyes. He eventually is able to find a taxi that will pick him up. He tells the driver to go to the building next to the Tassadeh Hotel. He begins starting up some small talk. The taxi driver says that he too wishes that Mafty would do something about the Manhunters. Hathaway is somewhat relieved that the public seems to be pro-Mafty. One thing that Hathaway is surprised about is that the driver believes that Mafty has the luxury of thinking so far in the future, referring to the destruction of the Earth. But the driver doesn't have the luxury to think that far ahead. He has to focus on the here and now to survive. For Hathaway, he believes he is a byproduct to the scale at which EFF operates and allowing wars to plague the planet. A 2-degree rise in temperature, less and less land to grow food, it is only a matter of time until all of humanity will be forced into the sides. Unlike Char and the generation before him, it isn't some new frontier and humanity won't grow, expand, or evolve. No, for Hathaway, this is a sin. This is a burden for humanity. Ultimately, humanity yearns for gravity. Humans need to go into space and let the world rest for 1,000 years. Ultimately, the goal is to return to a thriving Earth. More likely, an Earth that can support 10 billion people like it once did before Universal Century. Living in the sides is simply humanity's burden for allowing the Earth to grow once again. Hathaway says that he has to make this happen for the spirits of those who died during Char's rebellion. He recalls his exploits during Char's counterattack and actually empathizes with Char. Char did calculate axis to send Earth into a nuclear winter and not outright destroy it. Hathaway seems to understand this. Well, he understood this, or he understood Char's self-destructive nature and foresaw his failure. Either way, his fighting spirit lives on in Hathaway. He pictures an alternate universe where the Manhunters are actually heroes serving justice. The driver drops him off and eventually he walks over to the Tassadeh Hotel. He has a message waiting for him stating that the Research Bureau will send a car at 10 in the morning. Gigi isn't in the room. He didn't want to run into any ministers from the Houndsend, so he orders room service. He thinks that if he is eventually arrested, he knows someone will get the Gundam. That is when Kenneth and Gigi walk in. This makes Hathaway nervous. Since he was gone, Kenneth asked Gigi out for dinner. As Gigi goes into her room, he tells Hathaway that he is stealing her from him. He tells Kenneth to go for it, as he doesn't have feelings for her in that way. But he does. He asks about the investigation. Kenneth wants him and some of the cabinet members to come in and sign the official record. Kenneth picks up his souvenir and calls it tacky. Oh, he totally bought a keychain souvenir. Kenneth looked up Hathaway's background during Char's rebellion. He is very impressed by his skills. He tells him that he snuck onto his father's ship and caused him a lot of troubles with the EFF. Kenneth is stressed because of the garbage fire that Kimberly has left him. He is making this transition hard on Kenneth. He says that he wished he had a famous father, like Hathaway. But Hathaway suggests to him, it comes with its own pressures and burdens. Gigi comes out and asks Kenneth to lace up the back of her dress. Hathaway is very jelly. Earth's surveillance network is quite weak, especially since MAFTI has been taking out their surveillance satellites. 4 mobile suits fly above the water. It is the Messer. The Me02R Messer is MAFTI's mobile suit produced by Anaheim Electronics. This mobile suit takes a lot of design inspirations from Neo Zeon, including the spiked shoulder armor and the mono eye sensor. It also has chest intakes, which is usually a feature found on EFF mobile suits. It was developed from the Gyrodoga. The movie varies this with the Type F1 and the Type F2. Both are more or less the same, but the Type F2 has bulkier flared legs to help with hovering. Weapons include Vulcan guns, 2 beam sabers, a long beam rifle which uses E-packs, and a large shield. The Type F2 also uses mines. The Messers are riding Galsazons. The Galsazon is a subflight system used mainly with the Messer, as it can't fly in Earth's atmosphere. These are very fast, but more or less comparable to a base jabber. It has a megaparticle cannon in the front of the subflight system. They know that the Kimberly forces will be on them real soon. The pilot of the Messer Unit 2 is Galman Noble. We learn about the reality display. What they are viewing in their cockpit is just a video feed of the mobile suit's camera sensors. It also can display target data and much more. Civet Angern is piloting a Galsazon. Sounds like I'm saying a Pokemon name. One thing to note is that in this time and Universal Century, most battles take place in space. Any incident on Earth became localized conflicts. Like most insurgencies, you want to get in and get out as quickly as possible. This can be done via subflight system or drop missions from low Earth orbit. Because of this, UC-105 mobile suits like the Messer and EFF's Gustav Karl sucks at changing speed mid-course. Galman's first target is the Regent Hotel. He mentions that the reality display uses some kind of AI or machine learning to analyze targets, but things like cloud coverage can mess up the system. Galman turns on manual targeting systems and attacks the hotel. Golf is one of the Messer pilots, and his target is the EFF base targeting the Kimberly forces. Galman's next target is the Tassaday Hotel, but he needs to buy Hathaway a little more time. He jumps off the Galsazon. Hathaway hears the hotel rumble. It is almost time. He goes to wake up Gigi. Her and Kenneth came back early from their dinner. In the anime, the two go out dancing. He informs her that they are probably going to be targeted as there are Federation government officials staying at the hotel. She asks if it is MAFTI. Hathaway says, who knows? But she responds by saying, but you're MAFTI. He ignores her. They head to the elevator where they run into a couple. They all head down, hoping that MAFTI doesn't hit the hotel and the elevator. While heading down, Gigi begins biting Hathaway's shoulder. I too also get turned on during a terrorist attack. Hathaway is just thinking whether or not it is a wise choice to bring Gigi with him. In the movie, Hathaway thinks to himself that the other couple smells of sex. But the movie is more provocative and it shows the sweat dripping down their bodies. Tomino, you horny dog, you. Never change. The Tassaday Hotel is eventually attacked and the elevator stops. Hathaway pushes the emergency button. Luckily, the elevator was on the 3rd floor. They get out. Hathaway grabs Gigi and rushes towards the front, dodging panicking people along the way. Hathaway sees an EFF mobile suit and marvels at its mobility in Earth gravity. He wonders if this is Anaheim Electronics doing. This is certainly possible with the help of the Manhunter craft system. As we are now in the UC-100s, we are seeing technology evolve. Manhunter craft systems essentially use eye-field technology to create a Manhunter pillow between the craft and the ground, which allows the ship to hover without the use of a fusion reactor. It has been around since the One-Year War, and we saw it on the Adsum and the Pegasus-class ships, including White Base. But Manhunter craft systems require a huge fusion reactor, one which can't fit into a mobile suit. In UC-105, this is starting to change, and it seems that EFF is playing with Manhunter craft systems in mobile suits. Hathaway mentions that the new Kasai Gundam tested on the moon and integrated this technology as well. More on this soon. Anaheim Electronics doing what Anaheim Electronics does, sharing other people's intellectual property. As Galman makes his exit out of the city, he is met with EFF's new Gustav Karl. The FD-03 Gustav Karl is EFF's new mass-produced mobile suit based off of the Jagan. We saw a prototype of this version during Unicorn. This is specific to the Type 0 version, as there was no Unicorn when Hathaway's Flash was written. This is a heavy armor mobile suit that doesn't lose mobility or versatility, which is usually the case for bulky boys. This is what allowed for a bigger reactor. Weapons include Vulcan guns, a 2-tube missile launcher on the left hand, 2 beam sabers which contain an eye field, the Jagan beam rifle, and a bazooka. It also has a flexible shield. The Type 00 version from the movie has the same weapon set as the light novel. Soon, we will see the miniaturization of the fusion reactor. But before that happens, everyone started building bigger mobile suits. Galman strafes back and forth to avoid getting hit. He then turns his back on the city, forcing the Gustav Karls to potentially hit civilians. Galman thought this would prevent them from firing on the city, but boy was he wrong. They begin shooting at him, destroying the city around them. Galman tries to get out of Davao as quickly as possible. He was attacked over the poorer areas of the city, but near the Tassidae, less chaos is happening. It appears they specifically don't care about the poors. Remember, we are still in an era where EFF is hired help for the rich people. He flies over the Tassidae, hoping that Esmeralda Zubin makes contact with Hathaway. Mahesia entrusted Esmeralda Zubin with getting Hathaway to safety. Unfortunately, Hathaway is thinking with his dick, and he doesn't follow the plan as he is with Gigi. Here is an interesting quote. All the while, Hathaway could feel Gigi's trembling body and felt attracted to her young and delicate body. Tomino, you horny dog, you. Esmeralda follows closely. She wonders why he is helping out a skank, not knowing the situation. She doesn't know what's going on, but at least she isn't thinking with her lady balls. Hathaway, you horny asshole. Like the movie, Esmeralda leads them into the park where Galman is caught up in a fight with the Gustav Karls. In the movie, Hathaway hilariously drags a limp Gigi throughout the battlefield. Esmeralda shoved a paper in Hathaway's pocket and flees. Gigi is catatonic with fear and won't let him go, even though he wants to escape. Galman seems to have been defeated, and EFF surrounds their location. And that will do it for this episode. It has been a while since I read Tomina's work directly. He certainly is a horny old man. Never changed, Tomino. The Minovsky Craft mobile suit that Hathaway saw was indeed Penelope, which we will talk about next time. Next time, we will learn more about Penelope and its pilot, and Kenneth gets more suspicious of Hathaway as he meets with Esmeralda to talk about Kasai Gundam. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember to not let your penis or lady balls do the talking. Peace.